welcome to Darling Square 1. This is the first of two towers that AJC designed for Urbanest. It's being built by Buildcorp, and it's part of the urban renewal of the Darling Harbour precinct into Darling Square by Lend Lease. So this building was a residual site which was between a railway line on one side, a road on the other, with a monorail running down in between. So Lend Lease released this site for student housing, and we've erected, there's a 20-storey tower here, and there'll be a 22-storey tower just to the north of it, which is starting construction soon. The lower two floors are common areas and services. The middle floor is all student housing, and the rooftop will be a rooftop terrace. Now, the building it's at the fringe of this new precinct, and it fronts onto the old warehouse and industrial precinct of Ultimo. So you can see the Powerhouse Museum on our left here. So the building's designed to be a transitional element between those two areas. And so this facade was really inspired by the thick walls and the masonry and the brickwork of the old warehouses. And so you can see it's got this rusty red colour, which we picked from the surrounding warehouses. And it's got the thick reveals, which is exactly what you see in the old warehouses. All these windows are naturally ventilated and openable, so it really, between the deep openings and the opening windows, it's really got this play of open and closed. The facade, student housing is really made up of lots of fairly small rooms. Unlike normal residential, where you've got bedrooms and living rooms that are bigger, student housing is quite a compact typology. So what we did here was, by switching the windows between each floor, we've created a checkerboard effect. And the idea of that is to enliven this facade and make it ripple visually when you look at it on an oblique angle. So, as I said before, the building references the industrial heritage of Haymarket. Now, where I'm standing, and all the way along there, used to be a train line. It was one of the first train lines established in Australia in Sydney, and it was a major goods line that linked all the harbour in Darling Harbour back to Central Station and to inland New South Wales. So the other part of the building that references the heritage are the lower parts. The lower two floors contain all of the social spaces and the communal spaces and the student housing. And we wanted to do something quite striking and different there, rather than just continue the same facade down. So we came up with this concept of the V columns. It's referencing the old girders and trusses that used to span across here, carrying all of the signals and things across the train lines. And so this is like a giant version of that truss, brought from the rail line, put underneath the building, that actually holds the whole building up. And what that also does is establish a street wall. In the urban design principles for the whole precinct, there was this real focus on street wall, on new urban design. And what that does is establishes a two-storey street wall that, as you walk around the precinct, is picked up by most of the buildings in the precinct. And behind that, you've got fully glazed student common areas, so very visible with these feature V columns, as if they're holding up the buildings above.